Joining us now to break down where we stand in the 2020 race is Cassie Smedile, the Deputy Communications Director for the Republican National Committee. So Cassie, I want to go back to this weekend when President Trump gave his speech on the 4th of July at Mount Rushmore. A lot of conservatives saying he hit the perfect tone, and of course his critics on the left saying that it was a divisive speech. So moving ahead, do you think that this is the speech, the type of tone rather, that the president is going to carry going into November?
Yeah, we've long said that President Trump is the man for the moment, but this was his moment that the country really needed, and we so desperately wanted to hear a tone celebrating our country, celebrating everything we love about America. And he hit it on the head, and it was a wonderful night at Mount Rushmore, and then again the next night at the White House. And I do think as we look towards the rallies and him getting back on the road, he's going to play into what he's hearing from the people across America, outside the swamp, what he's hearing from real hardworking everyday Americans who want to celebrate this country, who want to celebrate how far we've come. And I hope that that will play into what we hear from him on the road. I have no doubt it will, because he usually does draw from everyone he hears from. And I think it's a great tone that the American people will wholeheartedly welcome.
And even right now, 4 months out of the election, when people talk about polls, talk about things like that, I think it is worth noting that during the 2016 election, when he really found his groove was when he started giving these big rallies. Same thing during the 2018 midterms. Even though Democrats did take the House, he was able to utilize those rallies to bring out turnouts for a lot of Republican candidates and help them control the Senate, something that was pivotal, a big focus of the Republican Party going into those races as well. So when he does, for example, get back on the campaign trail, start getting in a rhythm a little bit with these rallies, reaching out directly to voters, and with it comes exposure on television as well. Do you expect that's when he's going to start gaining some momentum?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And not only that, it's going to give people something positive to see on their TV channels again, on their TV sets. So far it's just been wall-to-wall negative news, negative coverage, and the rallies used to offer some respite from that. And the more we see the president out there in his element, which is communicating with voters, and as you and I both know, having been to rallies, having covered the rallies, that they are a very positive experience. They're jovial, they're patriotic, and these are folks who take vacation days to come wait in line to get out there. And I think all of those things will play into a naturally more positive, energetic, enthusiastic tone, not just from the president, but in just having a blip of positivity on our TV screens, which helps everybody in the ripple of who's watching and in the communities writ large.
And when you talk about what people are seeing on their TV screens, too, it comes at a time where there is unrest to some degree in the streets, whether it be protest, rioting, looting. It became the forefront of really the polarization in our country, I think. So when we move ahead to November, is the messaging President Trump versus Joe Biden? Or is it President Trump versus more far-left type of ideology where Joe Biden is the vehicle for that to get to the White House?
Yeah, I was about to say, is there any difference? Joe Biden has fully embraced being the puppet for the far left. He's embraced far left policies and radical policies. He's embraced bringing Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez onto his board of advisors. And we know everything from the Green New Deal to embracing these protesters is a radical position. So I don't think there's any delineation in today's Democrat Party. But I will say for President Trump, this is not just about pointing out how radical the left is, and as you say, and I agree with, that Joe Biden is their mascot, really. But this has got to be for him about saying, and look at how much we've done together as a country, empowering you, all of the great achievements, all the promises made and promises kept. And as he says, the best is yet to come. And so part and parcel with having these positive, raucous rallies, that will come as well, to be able to do both, to walk and chew gum, to talk about the great achievements from the past 4 years that we've all done together as a country, and then juxtapose that towards the doom and gloom that the left is spewing.
And Cassie, when we talk about the Democratic Party, too, there is a double-edged sword for Joe Biden when it comes to some of these issues, is that at some point he has to take a stand, and he's either going to lose moderate voters or he's going to lose some of those progressive voters the same way that Hillary Clinton did in 2016. Whether it's defund the police, whether it's the Green New Deal, he has to take a strong stand on some of these issues at some point. And that does speak to a divide within the Democratic Party that's taking place, progressive versus moderate. And when we look at the Republican Party, we don't necessarily see that same divide. We don't see never-Trumpers necessarily having a big voice in the Republican Party. What does this say about the evolution of the party?
Right. Well, what you've seen here, what President Trump has really spearheaded, is to say, where are you, the voter? What do you want? What do you want from your elected officials? And President Trump, whether it's by continually getting out of the swamp and going out into the country and talking with voters every day, that has been reflected in his policies. And I think that's why, from the Republican Party standpoint, rather, we are the party of the hardworking Americans. We are the party of the every person, because we are out there. Just our policies reflect that. And again, when you look at the left and today's Democrat Party, the reason they're having so much trouble with figuring out which person to, lean towards in any given day on any given issue, it's because they're not listening. They are not moved by what the American people are actually saying to them. And that's the real problem for Joe Biden, is you're right. He's bound to lose somebody because he doesn't actually have anybody to listen to outside of these of these consultants.
Right.
And part of that is because he's hiding in his basement and not willing to get out there and actually meet with real Americans.
And I think an issue that they're having right now, too, is sometimes the loudest voices online aren't representative of the American people. I think that is something that the defund the police thing might hit a roadblock, if you will, because, yes, it's a slogan that sure progressives will like, but when you get to the suburbs and middle America, that's not necessarily something that they're asking for either. So I think that's emblematic of exactly what we're talking about when he gets to that divide. And on the other side of that, we have President Trump, who in that Gallup poll that I showed earlier in this segment has a 91% approval rating at the moment. So I think that is something that the Biden campaign is eventually going to have to deal with that they're not right now. But Cassie Smedile, I appreciate you coming on, breaking down the election for us. Thank you.